Greetings, I'm Jed Shlackman, and today's video is covering the topic of pain, and I want to refer to this as energy flows where attention goes and the healing purpose of pain. So that title may sound a little bit intriguing or mysterious, and I want to go into what I'm referring to with it. So in the metaphysical field, there's a common saying or phrase that energy flows where attention goes. And what this is pointing out is wherever we focus our consciousness, we're actually bringing energy to that in some way. And you can notice that even just by paying attention to your physical body. And if you focus your attention in a particular part of your body, you may feel more energy and more sensation in that part of your body, since focusing your attention there is actually increasing the energy flow to that part of the body. So when we have pain, pain can be related to physical injuries or to some type of emotional wound or emotional suffering. And what I want to explore here is that pain has a purpose in the process of healing, and suppressing pain can often slow or interrupt those healing processes. With that understanding, we can be more mindful to train ourselves, in a sense, to be present with pain, to be in a place of observation or awareness and non-resistance, telling ourselves that the pain is actually okay. It serves ultimately a beneficial purpose. It's not going to overwhelm us or kill us. It's there for a reason, and the more we're able to be present with it, to kind of just sit with it and allow it to be, then the more we're allowing that healing process to move forward and to achieve its purpose. When you have a physical injury, your body has to go through a process of repairing whatever parts or areas of the body have been injured. And to support that, your body has to focus extra energy and attention in that particular area, and it has to do things to protect that wounded area so that that area doesn't get stressed or injured further, so that it doesn't get infiltrated by microbes, by pathogens that could create an infection. So the pain has a value there. In one sense, it's a messenger. So it's letting you know you have this wound there. You don't want to aggravate that further. So it's giving you guidance to protect yourself in that area so that you can give your body the opportunity to do its healing work and recover. And it's also showing you that there's energy going into that area. So your nervous system is generating that pain signal, which means there's energy coming through the nerves, coming through the cells, through that tissue that's injured, and your body is focusing its efforts to facilitate that healing process, that repair. So if you think the pain is something bad or negative and you want to suppress it and escape from feeling that pain, you might take some type of pain-numbing medication, something that suppresses the nerve signals, something that kind of anesthetizes or sedates that tissue there so you can't feel. However, when you're doing that, you may be slowing down that process of healing. You may be reducing the flow of energy there. In a way, you're kind of confusing or tricking your body, making it potentially think, oh, okay, I'm not feeling this injury there, so we don't need to give as much attention there for now. And so that could be something that actually delays or slows healing. When you do something to suppress the pain, you might be doing it because in that moment the pain feels overwhelming to you, so you want relief from it, and so temporarily you have a tool you can use to suppress that pain. But if you keep doing that, it becomes kind of a delay in the healing process. It can perpetuate some type of injury or illness that you have. It can interfere with recovery. So even though you might feel it's useful momentarily in that segment of time where you're feeling overwhelmed, you don't feel ready to handle the pain, be aware that if you actually want to resolve things and come back to your normal state of health, where there would be no more reason for your body to produce that pain, then continuing to suppress the pain is actually interfering with your ultimate goal of being recovered and not having pain at all anymore. So you can remind yourself of that to help you find acceptance with the pain, to not try to block it or avoid it, to just allow it to be. You can become like a neutral observer of pain, just noticing that it's there, that it's present, not feeling afraid of it, not telling yourself that it's bad or negative, not being overwhelmed by it, but actually just perceiving it as sensation. It's a sensation that is present, and the more you tell yourself something negative about it or resist it, the more that sensation can be unpleasant. Whereas the more that you tell yourself that it's okay, that it's part of your body's healing process, that it doesn't need to be avoided or resisted, it's just a signal or message in the system, then the less unpleasant, perhaps, that sensation of pain would become. So you can shift your relationship with that sensation, with what we're labeling as pain. It could get to a point where you don't even think of it as pain anymore. You just notice there's an intense sensation of some sort, a sensation beyond what your body would normally have in a particular spot. So we can kind of reprogram our perception, reprogram our relationship with pain, and by doing that, by just allowing it to be, we're actually allowing the healing process to expedite itself. We're allowing our body to focus its energy and attention where it's needed to bring about an acceleration of the metabolic processes that are used to heal the body. So this is something I encourage each of you to consider, to recognize that there are potential problems that can arise when you try to avoid and suppress pain. Most people are aware that medications used for pain can have, quote, side effects, but the side effects are effects. There's a reason why some negative things happen when you're using pain medications, since they're in some sense trying to counteract or interfere with what your body itself is trying to do or wants to do. So you're kind of in conflict with your body's own intelligence. Also, if you start to build up an association between using a particular substance or a particular activity or action to suppress pain or escape from pain, and you keep doing that, you can form some form of addiction or dependency on that, where you become just used to that pattern, where you've normalized this process of always avoiding pain. So anytime any pain comes up, you rush to do something that you remember, either consciously or subconsciously, will suppress that pain. And that can indeed become an addiction. And that's one of the reasons why many people get addicted to pain medications, because they haven't trained themselves to be okay with experiencing some pain. They've become so attached to always avoiding it that they keep going back into that pattern. As long as pain arises or pain is there, they keep using a particular substance, a particular action to suppress the pain. And it can become difficult for them to break out of that pattern if they've been doing it for a while. So rather than getting caught up in an addictive pain avoidance pattern, you can start out in the beginning learning to be more at peace with pain, accepting pain, not resisting life, not resisting your body's effort to bring energy and attention to where there's some form of wound. This is not only for physical pain, this is just as much for emotional or psychological pain, situations in life that are distressing emotionally, that we may feel an impulse to run away from that sensation, to avoid the emotional pain. But when we keep doing that, we're not actually addressing the emotions or psychological issue there. We're actually perpetuating it, and maybe even compounding it with an addiction. So we can benefit from learning to be present with whatever emotional suffering we experience, so that we can see where that pain is bringing our attention to. What is it in our life that we've been in some form of resistance to, some form of shock from, some form of negative judgment about a particular situation or person, whatever it might be. In a sense, we're creating our own pain and suffering from how we're processing our life experiences. And if that emotional pain is still there, it's a reminder that we haven't gone back to reprocess things to find peace or resolution. We're still kind of stuck in that resistance, in that negative reaction to whatever's occurred in our life. So the pain is there as that messenger, letting us know this issue is still here. It hasn't been resolved. And if you keep numbing that pain, if you take some form of drug, whether it's recreational drugs or prescription drugs, or some type of habit or activity to distract yourself from the emotional pain, the pain is still there, or I should say the source of it, whatever triggered that pain, is still there in your consciousness. It hasn't disappeared, it hasn't dissolved, and it'll just come back after the effect of that suppressing behavior has worn off. So if you wish to or intend to resolve pain, in this case emotional pain, you actually have to get to a point where you can be present with it, where you can observe it, you can understand it, and you can find some way to shift your consciousness or your relationship with that experience so that it's no longer generating pain, essentially, that there's no longer resistance, no longer some form of clash or conflict between you and what you've encountered in your life. You're able to integrate the experiences, to have a form of peace or acceptance of what has manifested in life. When you can reach that state, there's no reason for the pain to be triggered or to arise anymore, because the wound is no longer present. Just like when your physical body heals, when the wound has been completely cleared up, that tissue is completely restored back to normal, so to speak, back into wholeness, then your body doesn't continue to foster that pain signal, because there wouldn't be a reason anymore. That part of your body has already healed. You don't need to avoid using it anymore, and your body doesn't need to give that extra energy and attention to that part, since it's already been repaired. So I think we can look at the logic in that, the intelligence that your body is using, and also the intelligence that your soul and your subconscious mind are using in relation to the emotional wound healing. As long as the wound is there, there's a part of you, an aspect of your consciousness that wants it healed, that's bringing that emotional pain up to get your attention, to show you, look, you haven't addressed this yet, you're still carrying this emotional pain, this wound with you. Let's re-examine this. Let's find a way to bring resolution to release that. So again, your energy flows where your attention goes. So if you want to bring energy to something for healing it, you don't want to pretend it's not there. It's okay to have your attention brought to it. And then when your attention is there, it's okay to kind of let go and surrender, to not resist, to practice presence, to just be aware. There's a sensation, there's an emotion, it is what it is in a sense. And as you're able to ease into that, then there's a deeper part of you, an unconscious or subconscious or superconscious aspect that's able to facilitate the actual healing that occurs. You don't have to consciously know how to make that healing happen, but it can start to arise and unfold on its own, even without you having to think about it, just by you trusting and surrendering to that process. I hope that this short discussion has given you some ideas, some things to contemplate in your healing journey with whatever's happened or happening in your life, whether it's physical issues or emotional issues. For those that are interested in holistic healing resources or holistic healing therapies, you can visit my website, phinsights.com. That's spelled PHINSIGHTS.com. For now, I wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.